Hello everybody, Assalamu alaikum. Okay, let's start. Okay, hope you're doing fine. Okay. So last day we talked about demand and supply. So if you have any problem with that, please let me know. Okay. So today we will do some example on the interaction of this change in demand and supply. We also talked about equilibrium. Equilibrium is a point where demand and supply is equal, and we also did the formula. mm, this one, total revenue equals to price multiplied by quantity. It's a simple formula but very useful. Okay. Okay. So now let's do some example. Okay. So let's talk about an example where demand increases. Okay, so this axis is price, 0, quantity, so this is supply, demand. So that's an equilibrium, right? Demand and supply is intersecting over here. So let's write PE, that means equilibrium price, and QE, equilibrium quantity. Okay. Now let's talk about an example where demand is increasing. For example, what will happen to the price of rice if the population is increasing? Okay. If the population is increasing, what will happen to the price of rice? Okay. So think step by step. The population is rising, so what will happen to demand? The demand will rise, right? So it will shift to the right. Okay, so there will be a parallel shift to the right. D. Okay, so some of the previous one was D1 and S1. So now it will shift. The new demand will be D2, and there is a new intersection point over here. Okay, so demand and supply has a new intersection point over here. Demand and supply will be equal. So see, this is in a position where the price is higher, right? So higher demand will lead to higher price, and also it will lead to higher quantity, Q2. Okay, so see, the price is increasing because of the rise in demand. Okay, so any problem? Please let me know if you're facing any problem. So now let's discuss a point where demand decreases. Okay. So whenever a question like this comes, just draw the equilibrium first. Okay, so that's the equilibrium, right? So what's happening? Suppose the in a recession. Okay, the recession is going on, just like the current situation, maybe because of the pandemic. The country is suffering from recession. Okay, so during recession, what will happen to the income? The income of the people will fall, right? So what will happen to the um, what will happen to the mm, demand? Yeah, demand will decrease, right? As the income is falling, demand will also decrease. Okay, so what will happen? There will be a fall in demand. So there will be a parallel shift to the left. Demand curve closer to the zero. Okay, there will be a leftward shift. Okay, so see, there will be a new intersection point. So from there you'll get a new price, P1, and new quantity, Q2. So see, this fall in demand will reduce the price to P. Let's make it P2. Reduce the price to P2 and quantity to Q2. Okay, so very similar thing, just like the previous one. Okay, so if you're facing any problem, let me know. I'll repeat. Okay. Okay, now let's do an example where the supply is increasing. Okay, so back to the equilibrium, right? So what's happening? Supply is improving. So let's have an example. Because of the technological advancement, uh, what's happening? The supply is increasing. Okay, so let's choose another color, red. Another red. Okay, so technological advancement. So what will happen to the supply? It will increase, right? So it will shift to the right. So there will be a parallel shift to the right. S2. And see, the new intersection point is over here, right? Over here, D1 and S2 is equal. So see what's happening. The price is falling to P2 and the quantity is increasing to Q1. So Q2. Okay. So a rightward arrow over here, a downward arrow for price. Okay, so see, because of the rise in the price, the because of the rise in the supply, the it's becoming more available, so price will be falling. Okay. Now the last example, what will happen to the what will happen to this price if the supply decreases? For example, natural disasters, suppose flood. What will happen to the demand? Sorry, price of rice after flood. Okay, what will happen to the price of rice after flood? Okay, so after flood, what will happen to the supply? It will fall, right? Okay, it will destroy the crop, so there will be a leftward shift of the supply curve S2. So there will be a new intersection point P2. Okay, so see, there will be a leftward shift for supply and upward rise for price. Okay, so what's happening over here? Due to flood, the crops are getting destroyed, so supply is falling. So supply is shifting to the left, and as a result, the price will increase. Okay, so it's I assume that it's a very easy one, and you'll find it very interesting, right? Okay, so let's do one more example. Okay, a bit more complicated. Okay, so suppose the flood is taking place, but at the same time, something else is taking place, like more people are migrating to your country. Okay. So population is also rising. So what will happen? Okay. The supply is falling, okay, but at the same time, more people are migrating to your country. So what will happen? There will be a rising demand as well. Okay, so see what's happening, and there will be at the same time there will be rightward shift of the demand curve as well. Okay, so the new demand curve will be D2. Okay, there will be a rightward shift. Okay, so see now what in which intersection point we were talking about. So now there will be D2 and S2 will be intersecting. See, D2 and S2 is intersecting over here, right? Okay, so see, so the new equilibrium price will be here, P2, and the equilibrium quantity will be here, Q2. Okay, so see, the overall effect will be the like this. Okay. Price will increase. Okay. So what's happening over here? It may seem a bit complicated, but I'll suggest to think of it as a very fun activity, right? Because we are just playing, okay, and we are just observing our surrounding and trying to understand the effect of demand and supply. Okay, and it's fun. You're just increasing and decreasing it. Try to have fun out of it, right? So what's happening? And two things are happening over here. Because of flood, the supply is falling, it's shifting to the left, and because of the migration, population is increasing, so demand for rice is increasing, it's shifting to the right. Okay, and overall effect of the both incident is the price is increasing from PE to P2. Okay. So that's all for the change and interaction and effect on demand and yeah, equilibrium because of the change in demand and supply. Okay. So our next topic for today is excess supply. Okay, and excess demand. Okay, so let's talk about the excess demand first. Okay. Mm, let's try it here. Okay, so what's that? That's our same old demand and supply curve, right? So, and where the demand and supply is equal or where they're intersecting, that's known as equilibrium price and quantity, right? Okay, so simple equilibrium price and quantity is over here, right? Now we are talking about excess demand. Okay, so if you observe the name, you'll see that yeah, what's that? So excess demand, that means demand is greater than supply, right? demand is greater than supply. That's excess demand, right? If you think it literally, that's the thing, and that's the definition of excess demand. Okay. So see, let's observe this position. Okay. Mm, like this equilibrium point. What is this point? This point is what? This point is where demand is equals to supply, right? Hmm. So, and now we'll be talking about excess demand. That means we, it's a situation when the demand is greater than supply. So, see, so usually what happens if the price falls below the equilibrium price, okay, for any reason, some maybe some special reason. So, what will happen? Mm, it will fall to P1. So, what's happening? There will be a new demand and a new supply. Okay. So demand will rise to QD and supply will fall to QS. Okay, did you get it? When the price was at PE, it came from the demand and supplies equilibrium, right? But and this is known as a disequilibrium. Okay, see, this is a situation when demand is not equal to supply. Demand is greater than supply. Okay, so what's happening? That because of the this disequilibrium, demand is increasing to this position and supply is falling to this position. Mhm. So that it's a disequilibrium. Previously it was equal over here, but now it's a disequilibrium in this position. Okay, so see what's happening. The price is, for some reason, the price is falling to P1. Maybe suppose the government is saying that okay, the equilibrium price is too high, so the government is forcing the price to go down. Okay, so in this case what will happen, it will create a disequilibrium. Okay, so see what will happen, it will create what the price is falling, so people will try to buy more. Okay, as the price is falling, and the supply will be discouraged because the price is falling, less profit, so they will be discouraged to sell, so they'll reduce the supply. So what will happen, the customers will come to the market to buy more, but the suppliers are not willing to sell more, so it will create a shortage, right? So QD minus QS amount of goods will not be available in the market, so it will lead to a shortage, right? So this is a shortage of goods in the market. Okay. Okay. So let me know if you're facing any problem. Okay. So that's the shortage we're talking about. Okay, next we have this shortage now. Now, what's the after effect? Okay, so there might be an after effect. We see that because of this shortage, what will happen? The customers will feel left out, and the suppliers are also observing the shortage, and they will find that the customers are willing to pay more. Okay, as these shortages takes place, what will happen, the customers will be willing to pay more and suppliers will take the opportunity. And what will happen, that the equilibrium will restore to its position. That means price will again start to rise, okay, as the suppliers the customers are ready to pay more, so again it will restore to the equilibrium. Okay, so this kind of change is very common. Okay, whenever the equilibrium price turns into a disequilibrium, it eventually turns into uh, equilibrium again. Okay. uh, okay, so it's nothing fixed. Continuously the market forces and other external forces influences the market, and this price and everything continuously changes. Okay, so that's excess demand. Okay, so I'm repeating what's happening. In excess demand, the demand is greater than supply. It may be caused by the fall in price. Okay, then this fall in price will lead to an disequilibrium, that where demand is greater than supply, and as a result there will be a shortages in the market. Okay, the customers will be willing to buy more, but the suppliers will be willing to sell less. Okay, so this will create a shortage, and afterwards the shortage, because of this shortage, the customers will be willing to pay more, and the price will start to rise again. Okay, and it will be restored to equilibrium price. Okay, so that's what excess demand. Okay, so if you want, you can keep a screenshot maybe. Okay. And the graphs are available in your book and also internet everywhere. Okay. So let me know if you're facing any problem. So we don't have much time, so let's quickly talk about excess supply. Okay, so it will be like a situation. Okay, let me erase this. So we can draw it from. mm, okay, so with this graph we can again draw excess supply. Okay, so this is a situation when demand is less than supply, right? That's why this is known as excess supply. So see what's happening at this point. If price is greater. Okay, so this will lead to excess supply. So for some reason maybe the price have increased to P1 from the equilibrium price. It's creating again and creating a what disequilibrium. Okay, so this time it will be like this. See, this will there will be a disequilibrium. Okay, so we'll see what's happening because of this disequilibrium. The rise in price will lead to this disequilibrium, and as a result, see what's happening. The supply quantity supply is increasing to here QS, and quantity demand will fall to this. Okay, why? Because this higher price will discourage the customers and they will buy less, and at the same time this higher price will encourage suppliers, because this rise in price will lead to more profit, so suppliers will be willing to sell more. Okay, so again it will create a disequilibrium, and this time this will cause a surplus of goods or unsold goods in the market. Why? See what's happening, that the customers are not willing to buy, but but the suppliers are willing to sell more. So the suppliers will bring lots of goods in the market, but it will not get sold. It will remain unsold because the customers are not buying. The price is too high. Okay, so unsold goods will remain in the market. Okay, and as these unsold goods are remaining in the market, what will happen? That the again the price will start to fall because customers are not buying. What's the point of keeping some these unsold goods? Okay, so the sellers will be ready to sell at a lower price, and the customer and the price will fall and restore to the equilibrium price and quantity. Okay. Okay, then that's all for today. If you have any problem, please let me know. Okay, I will review those topics. Okay. Okay, then thank you everybody. See you in the next class, inshallah. Okay.